Some mornings begin before your feet even touch the floor. Your eyes open, and almost immediately your mind starts running. The hours ahead seem impossible to manage because your heart is trying to carry the entire day at once instead of walking through it one step of not happened yet. We rehearse conversations that may never occur. We worry about outcomes we cannot control. We imagine obstacles before we even reach them. In doing so, we spend emotional energy on situations that exist only in our minds. By the time the actual day unfolds, we are exhausted from carrying burdens that belong to Demerithoroko. The world constantly tells us to move faster, think further ahead, achieve more, and carry more. Yet Scripture repeatedly reveals a God who is never rushed, never panicked, never surprised, and never overwhelmed. He governs the universe without anxiety. He directs history without confusion. He holds your future without fear. Perhaps one of the greatest gifts you can receive this morning is not a solution to every problem. Perhaps it is something deeper. Be shot, made it up its court. Each day has enough trouble of its own. These words are often quoted, but their depth can easily be missed. Jesus was not denying that tomorrow matters. He was not encouraging irresponsibility. He was addressing the tendency of the human heart to borrow tomorrow's concerns and add them to today's load. He understood something about people that remains true thousands of years later. Much of our exhaustion comes not from today's challenges, but from carrying from the provision for next month is not always visible today. God often distributes strength according to the moment rather than all at once. This principle appears throughout Scripture. When God provided manna for the Israelites in the wilderness, He instructed them to gather what they needed for each day. They could not successfully stockpile security for the future. Every morning became an opportunity to trust God again. Every sunrise reminded them that their provision came from Him. Many of us a powerful example of this principle appears in the story of Martha and Mary in Luke 10. Jesus entered their home, and the two sisters responded very differently to His presence. Martha became occupied with many tasks. She was working hard. She was serving. She was trying to make everything right. Meanwhile, Mary sat at the feet of Jesus listening to His words. Eventually, Martha became frustrated. She felt alone in her responsibilities. She approached Jesus and He said, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and upset about many things, but few things are needed, or indeed only one." Notice what Jesus identified. The issue was that Martha had become troubled by many things. Her attention was divided. Her heart was crowded, become troubled by many things. Her attention was divided. Her parts igmenie, ensemble, obligations, projects. Mary had discovered something Martha was missing. Yet somewhere along the way, we begin carrying them as though everything depends entirely on us. The result is often a constant sense of hurry. Even when we complete one task, another appears. Peace feels just out of reach because the list never truly ends. Jesus points us toward a different way of living. He reminds us that before we face responsibilities, we need His presence. Before we manage our schedule, Weston it is out of beginning, before we carries this. Immaculate it is the goes her ferment he this is the medical In many ways, the heart works similarly. When we begin the day disconnected from God's presence, everything else becomes harder. Small inconveniences feel larger. Minor frustrations become major distractions. Decisions become clouded by stress. But when the heart is aligned with God, challenges do not disappear. They simply lose the power to dominate us. We approach them from a place of stability rather than panic. Consider a realistic situation that many people experience. A parent wakes up. Every new challenge feels like evidence that the day is falling apart. Now imagine that same person beginning differently. Instead of carrying every responsibility immediately, they remember that God is already present in each hour they have not yet reached. They remember that His wisdom will be available when decisions arise. His patience will be available during difficult conversations. His strength will be available during difficult conversations. His strength will be available during difficult conversations. He was a strength going Gabe Christus for We can prepare for meetings, plan our schedules, organize our priorities, and think carefully about decisions. Those are good practices. But we cannot control every outcome. We cannot guarantee every conversation. We cannot eliminate every uncertainty. When we attempt to control what only God can control, anxiety naturally follows. Our hearts were never designed to carry that weight. The Bible repeatedly calls us back to trust because trust returns to that. The author crowds demanded his attention. Needs surrounded him constantly. Expectations followed him everywhere, yet he consistently withdrew to spend time with the Father. He prioritized communion before activity. He lived from a place of connection rather than reaction. That pattern challenges modern assumptions. Many people believe peace comes after everything is finished. Yet Jesus demonstrates that peace comes from remaining connected to the Father while things are unfinished. At any given moment, there is always another project. He offers peace in the middle of unfinished circumstances. This becomes especially important when facing uncertainty. Perhaps there is something in your life right now that lacks clarity. Maybe you are waiting for an answer. Perhaps you are navigating a transition. Maybe a relationship remains unresolved. It is natural to desire immediate certainty. Yet God often teaches us through seasons where the next step is visible, but the entire path. Notice that image of God frequently provides something different, His presence for the present. The more we learn to walk with Him today, the less intimidated we become by tomorrow. Confidence grows not because we know everything that will happen, but because we know the one who will be with us when it happens. The believer acknowledges challenges while remembering that challenges are not the highest authority in the story. The disciples learned this lesson repeatedly. During storms, they focused on waves, while Jesus remained aware of a greater reality. During shortages, they focused on limited resources, while Jesus focused on God's provision. During moments of fear, they focused on visible threats, while Jesus focused on the Father's power. Their circumstances were real. Their concerns were understandable. Yet Jesus constituted and These questions matter because attention shapes experience. If the first voice we listen to each morning is fear, the day will feel different than if the first voice we listen to is God. One of the most beautiful aspects of God's character is that He never asks us to manufacture peace through our own effort. The surface may move quickly, but deep beneath there is a powerful current moving with consistency and strength. Many believers live only at the surface level of experience, constantly tossed by changing circumstances. God invites us deeper, where His presence creates stability beneath the movement. As the day unfolds, there will likely be moments that test your peace. Unexpected news may arrive. Plans may change. People may disappoint you. This truth changes how we approach the day. Instead of asking, "Will everything go according to my plan?" we begin asking, "How can I remain aware of God's presence regardless of what happens?" That shift transforms the spiritual experience of daily life. Many people spend years searching for a day with no problems, imagining that peace will finally arrive when circumstances cooperate. Yet peace rooted in circumstances remains fragile, because circumstances became iced keats. The PP might properties. Jesus offers peace through relationship with Him. That distinction matters. One kind of peace disappears when challenges appear. The other remains because it is anchored in something greater than circumstances. As you move through this day, remember that God is not asking you to carry every hour at once. He is not asking you to solve next week's problems before lunch. He is not asking you to solve next week's problems before lunch. He is not asking you to guarantee outcomes that will end differently. You do not need to force your future into certainty. You do not need to carry responsibilities that have not yet arrived. You do not need to exhaust yourself trying to control what only God can govern. The Lord who holds the universe together is fully capable of holding your day together as well. The story of Martha and Mary reminds us that the most productive thing we can do is not always the busiest thing. Sometimes the greatest act of wisdom is simply sitting at the feet of Jesus long enough for our hearts to remember what is true. From that place of the day ahead may contain unknowns, but it does not contain anything that God has not already seen. Every conversation, every decision, every interruption, every opportunity, every difficulty, and every blessing exists within His knowledge and care. And because He is there, you can move forward with quiet confidence, steady faith, and a heart that rests not in perfect circumstances, but in the perfect faithfulness of God.